Did the Cubs look like they were going to run away with this NL Central a couple of weeks ago? I told you we got a long way to go. We got a shot at them coming up this week and a chance to move into first place. We'll talk about what they need to do next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Good to have you along. Chuck Freimund here, longtime sportscaster and proud host of Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Great to have you along late Sunday night, early Monday morning as we get you ready for this Cubs series coming up. We'll have a Cubs preview coming up here. Tell you about the starting pitchers and what's got to happen for the Brewers to take this thing. A weekend wrap up. A lot of stuff went on this weekend as the Brewers took 2 or 3 from the Twins. We'll talk about some of the things that happened this weekend on and off the field. But the Brewers used another starter. They have used 11 different starters. We're going to get to that coming up here in just a bit. This show is brought to you in part by the good folks over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers, you bet $5, you get $150 in bonus bets. Your first best bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started today. All right, 11 different starting pitchers. And I know there was a couple of openers in there. The DL Halls, guys like that. A couple of openers. But the Brewers have been churning out, and it's like 3 hours before game time on some of these games. The Brewers are throwing at us, Coleman Crow is starting today. Oh, great. Robert Gasser is going to start this game. What? Logan Henderson is coming up. Fantastic. All these guys, the Brewers are throwing at us, and that's a lot of numbers. And the Brewers talk about strength in numbers and all that, and that's just great. The Brewers are patching up what they have to do because they have injuries to a couple of their top pitchers, Brandon Woodruff, and, of course, Quinn Priester, who I don't know when he's ever going to be on this team again. Man, but that's for a different day. But 11 different starters with Gasser starting. Now, the problem I have with starting this many different guys is the Brewers have been defying the odds because you would guess somewhere down the line a couple of these guys would have bad starts. Coleman Crow came up on Friday night, made his second start of the year. It was a lot like the first one. It was pretty good. I thought it was. Gasser comes up and pitches on Sunday, all right, and has a rough first inning, 40 pitches, but hangs around and gives them 4 innings. After that, these guys are at a tough spot. They get called up from Nashville. Hey, you're starting. You're not starting just on you're not starting on a bad team. You're talking about a playoff contending team and a team has visions of winning the division for a 4th year in a row. So these guys are caught out coming in and spot starting. It's not like this, these guys are coming up and starting for, like the Pirates or the A's, okay? They're starting for the Brewers. The Brewers, we are one of these teams right now, right? I like to think that right now the Brewers are one of these top teams in baseball. Yeah, I know. Before you give me their playoff record, I get it. But in the regular season, the records show themselves. The Brewers are one of the better are one of the top 10 teams in baseball, okay, record-wise. So these guys are coming up, and they're all doing their job. Now, the problem is, it's like, man, a numbers game like that, I always feel it's like when you have your starting pitcher go 5 or 6 innings, and then you pitch a guy in the 7th, and up a guy in the 8th, and then a guy in the 9th. You're hoping each and every one of those guys is on his game because all you need to do is to have one guy fail, and the whole operation goes right down the toilet, right? It's like Chad Patrick, earlier in the week, I think it was Tuesday, he pitched a solid inning, and they got him out of there. I'm like, man, he only pitched 7 pitches. I always think, if a guy pitches a solid inning, not a closer, although I'd be okay with a closer too. If a guy pitches like one solid inning, and he looks really good, wow, I want to put him back out there. Why take a chance on this next guy coming in? Leave him out there. It's like if McGill went 1, 2, 3 in the 8th inning and just blew guys away on 11 pitches or 12 pitches. If he did that, I'd be like, bring him back for the 9th. But a guy like Patrick, who stretched out. Now, Saturday night, Patrick went 4 solid innings in relief. And I was glad. I mean, the bullpen needed a break, but he was going good. Keep him out there. I like that. Henderson went 5. Patrick went 4. How often do you see a starter go 5, a reliever go 4? And that's it. I mean, that was like baseball from 1977 right there. I'm okay with that. And by the way, Patrick, it seems like it's a demotion. And yeah, the big numbers, at the end of the day, it's all making your money as a ball player, right? These guys want to help the team, but they also want to look out themselves and make money. But Patrick's saying all the right things. He says, well, I'm not looking at it as a demotion going out to the bullpen there. He's still a valuable part coming in big moments and pitching. Okay. Yeah. The price tag guys, those are the starters. I've always looked at Chad Patrick as a reliever, but I think he's a decent starter. He did not pitch great in his last start, like a couple of weeks ago. He's been coming out of the bullpen since then, but the Brewers seem to like him in long relief. They think his stuff plays better, it seems, in relief as opposed to being a starter. But I'm okay with that. He's not looking at it as a demotion. That's what he says. The Brewers took 2 or 3 in the series, but let's face it, guys. Not only could the Brewers have swept this series, but they could have been swept in this series against the Twins. They had to come from behind in those first 2 games to win it, and without very little run production, very little hits, very little production with runners in the scoring position. Somehow they were able to squeeze off a couple of wins in games 1 and 2 of that series. So, yeah, I mean, the Brewers, again, winning ugly. That's what they do. That was an old term for the White Sox back in the 80s when they had 83. I want to be specific. They had, La Russa had said, oh, this team is winning ugly. And the Brewers sometimes do win ugly, right? But it's a beautiful thing when you chalk one in on the win column instead of the loss column. So, but I just always think the Brewers have been doing so much of that over the years. I think that stuff eventually catches up to you. I think it does. Just like when you lean so heavily. I mean, the Brewers lean so heavily. I've talked about this. They lean so heavily on their starting pitchers. And when you're starting 11 or 12 different guys, I mean, you would think by numbers, things would be falling through the cracks. The Brewers the other night had a batting order that the last 5 guys in their order, nobody was hitting above 216. And the guy who was hitting 216 was Frelick. Okay. But nobody, and there was 3 of the 5 guys who were hitting below 200. Again, how do we win some of these games? Amazing. They're all nail biters. They all come right down to the end. Well, all 3 of these games this weekend against the Twins came right down to the 9th inning. But the Brewers Sunday, 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position. That's brutal. You ain't gonna beat anybody doing that. Would have been a minor miracle, but still here they were. They're in the game. They had the tying run at third to finish off that game by going 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position. And that one knock there was Bowers in the 9th inning with an RBI single to bring the Brewers within 1. David Hamilton. I have to vent a little bit about David Hamilton. Nothing personally against him, but I'll talk about that coming up here in a little bit. David Hamilton and Perkins. He had a 2-run single last week. But Perkins, don't think he's doing anything real special. Ortiz is mildly getting things going a little bit. Get to all that next. Chuck Freimund here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and they are America's #1 sports book for a reason. Why? Well, I love their live betting. I think their live betting is just fantastic, and I think you're going to love it too, man. They got all the stats, the trends, the matchups, helping you make your picks. If your team gets down early, a team that you like, man, you're going to get better odds. NBA playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs, you name it. Right now, new customers, you bet $5, you get $150 in bonus bets if that first bet wins. That's right. You turn $5 You get 150 dumped into your account for just getting started there. But check out the stats on the website there. Just look how everything is laid out. Look at the player props. It's easy to follow. You're not digging around all forever trying to find something. It's easy to navigate around everything. And for the NBA playoffs, the live betting, I'm telling you, it's fantastic. Live betting is in all sports, in fact. It is really, really good. Golf, really, really good. I was checking that out for the PGA Championship. So head to FanDuel and take advantage of this offer. $5, you bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if that bet wins. You can't go wrong there. But you got to go to FanDuel. Check it out. Go to FanDuel.com and check it out. FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Also, we are brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. You know, 5 Hour Energy. I'm a big fan of 5 Hour Energy. I've told you that before. I'm a big cherry flavor guy. But if you got a sweet tooth like I do, that perfect treat with all the sugar is the cotton candy 5 Hour Energy shot that brings the flavor, the nostalgic flavor, in a whole new way. Classic cotton candy taste, tasty caffeine boost, 0 sugar. It's quick and easy to use. Take one of those shots right after lunch or so when you get the afternoon blues and you're ready to go. I love cotton candy, the flavor that brings the throwback fruity vanilla vibe. It's surprisingly smooth. And my go-to when you want something sweet without going overboard. Bring on the sweetness, cotton candy, 5 Hour Energy shots available online now, 5hourenergy.com. Go to Amazon, buy in bulk. So I was telling my kid today, buying in bulk, that's the way to go. You can do it on Amazon. You can do it on 5hourenergy.com as well. But you're going to get the perfect boost each and every day with 5 Hour Energy. Chuck Freimund here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Good to have you along here. And by the way, our podcast, you get it on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your audio podcast. We're the #1 Brewers podcast on the internet because great Brewers fans out there. And of course, as always, please check us out on Twitter, Chuck Freimund, Freimund. Check us out on Twitter. Check us out on Google, Spotify, Apple, our growing YouTube page. Search Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. Got a little technical difficulty with one of my things here, but onward we go. All right. David Hamilton. Kurt Hogue from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel put out this tweet today that 20% of Hamilton's batted balls are bunts. 20%. I mean, what are we doing here? 20% of his batted balls, 20% of the batted balls are base hits, are bunts. That's not acceptable. Why is he in the lineup? I know he's got amazing speed. He's one of the fastest guys in baseball. And yeah, even when he bunts back to the mound like he did today, he nearly beat it out. But there was runners at first and third, 1 out, and he was bunting for a base hit. As Murphy said, for a guy who that's his forte, bunting, that bunt back to the mound was unacceptable. It was. As it is, when I got guys at first and third, okay, unless the squeeze play is on, which it wasn't, he was bunting for a base hit. If a guy is trying to bunt for a base hit with guys at first and third and 1 out, that tells you this guy is no threat at all at the plate. And that's worrisome. That's how we're trying to win these days. We're trying to win with Hamilton trying to lay down a bunt. I mean, he's got 8 or 9 bunt singles, okay, but that's his threat to the team, laying down a bunt. Novelty, I guess, but my goodness, on a team that is starving for some juice. Now, the Brewers hit 2 home runs on Sunday, but 20% of his batted balls are off the bunt. That leads baseball by quite a few. And Perkins, I mean, how can we continue to run Perkins? At what point is it not a slump? And this is just who he is, right? I mean, has Perkins been anything better than a 2? I wish he was batting 230. No disrespect. I mean, he's a great guy. Perkins, by all account, Murphy loves him. The teammates, he's one of the most liked guys on the team. But, I'm not here to win friends. I'm here to win championships, okay? Blake Perkins is a defense. I mean, we already got a couple of guys on this team who can't hit. I just told you there was 3 guys in the bottom 5 of the lineup the other day that were hitting below 200. Man, show that lineup to the 82 Brewers. They'd have one guy they wouldn't have anybody hitting below 200. I think Gorman Thomas would hit like 238, but he'd hit you 40 bombs. Yeah, if a guy's going to hit below 200, he, gosh darn, better have 22 home runs at this point. But we got all these guys hitting below 200 in the lineup every game. God, I shouldn't be complaining, though. We're 8 games above 500 and winning some games. So, really, really good. All right. A couple of other notes. Jet Williams is tearing it up. Cooper Pratt playing well down there as well. People have wondered why hasn't Made been moved up to AAA? Because Cooper Pratt is there. Cooper Pratt is there. Made. I'm sorry. It's Made, not Made. Made. He's outgrowing AA. I've seen him on tape. He's overmatched in that pitching. Made's going to be up here in no time. He is going to be up here in no time. Wow. Number 1 ranked prospect in baseball for a reason. I mean, man, what a signing a few years ago by the Brewers organization with that guy. What a signing. I don't want to use the word can't miss, but Made, well, unless Cooper Pratt gets promoted, which we'll see here in the next couple of weeks, what the Brewers do on that. I know Murph really loves that Ortiz defense. Really, really, really does. And Pratt, I mean, he's no sieve over there at shortstop, Cooper Pratt. He can play some shortstop for you, but and play it well. I mean, defensively, he plays shortstop. He could play that for you well, but man, we'll see. I have a feeling I'm going to give it middle of June. It might be sooner, but I'm going to say middle of June. If they finally don't see any results there with Ortiz, they're going to have to make a move. Now, Ortiz is starting to put it together a little bit. He had a double down the line today. There's a lot to like about Ortiz defensively, but offensively, gosh, he's a walking out. And I hate saying that because I like the kid. He had a nice week, but man, we'll see. I mean, he's turning it around. The average is slowly rising a little bit. All right, the Chicago Cubs are here next. I should say the Brewers are at Wrigley for a first of 3 night games. We'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Good to have you along here on Locked On Brewers. This podcast is brought to you in part by Hims. Hims with Hims. ED is way more common than most guys think. Millions of guys deal with it at some point. It's exactly why Hims offers a straightforward way to handle it. Hims connects you to a licensed healthcare provider online, giving you access to legitimate ED treatment options from the comfort of your home. No appointments, no awkward appointments, no pharmacy lines, just straightforward process that helps you take care of yourself. The whole process is very simple. Just complete a quick online intake and a provider reviews your information. If the treatment is right for you, it ships directly to your door in discreet packaging, so no one's got to know what you're doing here, which makes the whole experience feel private nobody needs to know your business anyway, but stress-free. To get simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, all that, hims.com/lockedon. hims.com/lockedon for your free online visit. hims.com/lockedon. All right. The Cubs finally meeting the Cubs here in a first of a 3-game set as we head to the Memorial Day weekend next week when the Dodgers are here. but facing the Cubs for a first time. All right. Yeah, I'm surprised that Wednesday's not a night game or is not a day game, but we got 3 night games at the original home of day games, Wrigley Field, where they used to play all day games. Not one of these games is a night game. That's unusual. But they might have looked at it and saw Thursday being an off day for both teams, and both teams in close proximity of each other, that they decided to play at night. I don't know. I know a lot of people trash Wrigley Field. I get it. I love it for his historic value, not the team for it, but for his historic value. Before you start telling me the urinals and all that, okay, I've heard it all. Been hearing it for 30 years. But a day game at Wrigley, to me, is still something special, especially when the Brewers go down there and take care of business. But 3 night games coming up. Sproat against Imanaga coming up on Monday night tonight. Shōta got shelled last year by the Brewers. That's game 2 of the playoffs. He's 4-3 this year, 2.32 earned run average. Had a good start against the Braves last time out last week. 7 innings, struck out 6. Was checking into the numbers. Who's got good numbers against Shōta? Surprisingly, Ortiz has got one of the best numbers on this Brewers roster against Shōta. He's 4 of 9 career against Shōta. Perkins, another one, 3 of 4 against Shōta. Contreras has got a couple of home runs. Shōta 1-3 lifetime versus Milwaukee, a 5.73 earned run average. Sproat on the hill for Milwaukee. Again, 4-3 overall this year. Last year, Shōta was 9-8. Other matchups, here's a real good matchup Tuesday. Brown against Miz. Heck of a pitching matchup there in game 2. Miz against Ben Brown. And then Wednesday, not a bad one here, Edward Cabrera against Harrison for Milwaukee. Ian Happ has been tearing it up for them. Cubs just got beat 2-3 from the White Sox. Oh, Cub fans are just irate over that. But the Cubs do have that 15-game home winning streak. And if I don't even want to think about this, but if they swept the Brewers, they would tie their all-time modern record, which was set back in 1935 when they won 18 in a row. But we don't want that to happen. But the Cubs have won 15 in a row. They're just coming off a road trip, Atlanta, and then these 3 with the White Sox. They were back in Chicago, but that one was at, I'm going to call it Comiskey Park, whatever they're calling it these days. Guaranteed rain or whatever. Yeah, the Cubs have won 15 in a row. Several of those games with some of that late inning magic. Don't want to see any of that in the next 3 days. If the Brewers sweep, now we talked about if the Cubs sweep, they would tie that 1935 record. If the Brewers sweep, they'll move into first place. They'll move into first place. I mean, if they win the first 2 games of the series, they'll move into first place by half a game. They're a game and a half out starting play. So just like 2 weeks ago, they were 5.5 behind the Cubs. But we'll find out. We'll get a little taste. And yeah, I think the players and the managers and all that will say after the game or before the game, well, it's still early in the season. It's early. Well, like I said, every game on the schedule counts to me. So going in there and taking 2 or 3 or sweeping the Cubs, or on the other hand, if they take 2 or 3 or sweep the Brewers, I think it's big. It's a big swing. So Brewers were 5.5 down a couple of weeks ago. They're back within a game and a half. They were always in it. But like I said, I told you guys a couple of weeks ago when the Cubs were winning all those magical games, might have been as soon as a week ago. I said, don't get all upset about this. Don't get all upset about this. Lots of season left. But it would be great to get an edge up on those guys early on. And I'll hear from you Cub fans. I'll poke the bear a couple of times this week. I did already. And of course, Cubs fans coming after me, calling me names, swearing, you name it. But I'm used to it from Cubs fans because we just get in their heads. All of our sports teams here in Wisconsin, we just get into their heads. Packers, Bucks, Brewers, that big market towards the south of us. And it just sticks in their craw when here up in Wisconsin, in beautiful vacation land, that we're always finishing ahead of those guys. All right. Our podcast, you get it on Google, Spotify, Apple, on all the downloads. Get us on our growing YouTube page. Search Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. That alerts you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. That's going to do it for this episode. We'll talk to you late night, Monday night. Wrap up the series. Wrap up game one of the series. And whatever storylines happened before and after the game. And, of course, right after the game. You want to subscribe to YouTube. Not only do you get to come into our studio here, but after the games on YouTube, I drop like a 60 to 90 second instant reaction on the game. So you'll have that right after the game. And then a few hours later, you'll have our Locked On Brewers podcast. But you got to subscribe. All the subscriptions, always, always, always free. Thanks for being an everydayer, everybody. And by the way, our Everydayer Club, see the link below, commercial-free audio podcast. You get to join us in the Discord section. Other amenities as well. Hit us below in the notes section here on YouTube and on any of our podcast download pages. There's always a notes section that'll be listed right on there. See you late Monday night, everybody. Chuck Freimund, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day.